How's everybody doing? I want to welcome everybody back. Here we go with season 2 of, she got I-55 and everything. I want to welcome you guys to season 2 of Southern Cuisine and everything. I want to once again thank everybody, every supporter, everyone I've had from classmates to colleagues to even my students. A lot has changed since the last time I've actually recorded. All right, one thing I want to brag on, I'm sorry, you're just going to hear from me. Your boy's an Ivy Leaguer now. Hey. So, we all happy about that. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start on season 2. And today, what we're going to start on, I'm going to show you guys jambalaya, all right? Homemade jambalaya. So, the way we actually start this is we start with the basic trinity like I told you guys before. We got the onion, we got the celery, we got the bell pepper, and we got the garlic that's actually browning in the pot as we speak. Right? So, show that. See everybody really quick. So we got this browning in the pot as we speak. In a few minutes it's actually browning enough for us to go ahead. We don't want to brown it too much before we actually add the trinity. As a matter of fact, the trinity will be added shortly. Now, while we're waiting on that to brown, one of the things you want to do, because I have to kind of pre-prep everything, one of the things you guys want to do is you want to actually, andouille sausage is going to be a critical piece of this meal. And what you guys want to do is you guys want to kind of just pan sear it, get it colored on both sides and everything, pan sear it and all. And I think our trinity is ready to be added at this point. So, I'm going to go ahead and add that. And what we're going to do, we're going to allow this to go for about 3-4 minutes. Alright? Alright, make sure we get a good mix all around. Pretty similar to what we've been doing before. While we wait, once again, I want to thank all my family members. And like I said, definitely want to thank all of my students who decided to chime in. And once again, my colleagues and classmates as well. I want to say that twice. Like I said, I am who I am because of you guys. Thank you. Now, as far as the stock or broth that you could actually use to make this, generally I would use seafood stock, but as I was going through the store, look, I'll just be honest with you, those Sunday crowds are a problem, and they didn't have the seafood stock I was looking for, therefore, I'm using chicken stock instead. Chicken stock, you guys can get unsalted chicken stock, or you guys can get the regular. I chose to get unsalted for health reasons, alright? And what you got to keep in mind about the chicken stock is that the chicken stock is roughly about 4 cups, alright? So I'm going to put about 6 cups of. I'm going to put this whole box and half of this one, okay? I'm going to put about 6 cups of. Alright, might take a little while for that to come to a boil, but you guys know. And like I said before, just so we can actually spread the joy around a little more, we're going to add about half of this one, so we can spread it around a little more. And as you guys can see, I'm having a little trouble with this. I had to get my pliers on this one. Alright. Alright. While we sit on this to wait for a boil, alright, I also have crushed tomatoes. I'm going to put the crushed tomatoes in there. And I also had to add splash of, about a tablespoon or so, of Creole seasoning. And we want the spicy Creole seasoning with the cayenne pepper. You guys can also have the option of, so you can put in bay leaves, which I'm going to use 2. But you guys can also, some people choose to use thyme and gumbo filet. I don't necessarily use gumbo filet, that's what this okra is for, but it won't go in until the very end. Alright, so like I said, tablespoon of Creole seasoning. You want the spicy with the cayenne pepper. Sprinkle that in there now. Heats up. You want to make sure we use a whisk or a fork. You guys choose to use a fork. You want to make sure we get that spun around. Add those bay leaves now. It's starting to come to a boil. Until then, as we wait, I would advise adults to actually have a glass of red wine, but since I have a number of students watching now, I can't necessarily recommend that, but to each his own. So like I said before, we're waiting on this to come to a boil. Once this comes to a boil, I'm going to add in the crushed tomato. Now, a lot of the recipes are going to sit here and tell you about canned crushed tomato. I think you guys at this point know how I feel about canned foods. I'm not really a big advocate for canned foods, so I crush the tomato myself. All right, dice and crush it myself. And once it comes to a boil, I'm going to add in the crushed tomato, and I'm going to also add in the andouille sausage that has been pan-seared. Go, sound I want to hear. So now that it's starting to come to a boil, before it comes to one slightly more. There we go. I'm bring it closer so you can see what I got so far. Alright, so now that we got it to a boil, I'm going to, and this is going to slow things down a little bit simply because it's liquid involved, but I'm going to add in the crushed tomato. And once again, I want to mix this crushed tomato around. Make sure you get a whisk or a fork and break everything up. Alright. And as it comes to a boil, once it comes to a boil, I'm going to put the sausage back in, then I'm going to actually pour the rice in as well. Now here's the deal with the rice, alright? Whatever, and then most of you who know how to cook rice, at least the way that I actually go about it, however much liquid you put in, you want to put in half the amount of rice, so that's what we're going to do. If you realize that the rice is still somewhat crunchy, or if it's not completely done, you guys can always add, that's why I keep, that's why I keep half of a box left of the stock. You always can add extra fluid to it, extra liquid to it. It's not a problem. Alright, so now that we got it to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and get the sausage up in here. That sausage is very, very important. Once again, helps add a whole nother element of flavor. Andouille sausage at that, andouille smoked sausage. You guys want to make sure that you get that. Like I said, what I have are roughly 6 cups of chicken stock in here, so I'm going to put in roughly 3 cups of rice. Might have to add more chicken stock as we go. In the meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and put this in. All right. One more cup of long grain rice, by the way. You guys want to use long grain rice. Me, frankly, I prefer jasmine rice. But a lot of recipes call for long grain. I'm a fan of jasmine. And once again, the store didn't have it today, or I couldn't find it in the store today, so we're going with long grain. Alright. So, that's the wrong one. We actually want to use this. So this comes to a boil again. It's just like if you were actually preparing rice, any other type of rice. You guys are going to bring it to a simmer and allow it to sit. All right. Obviously, you want the soft nature of the rice. I'm sorry. And I tell you, there's nothing like not being able to find the materials that you need. But there you go. Appreciate everybody being patient with me. So now we got everything to a boil. Once we get it to a good boil, all right, we're going to allow all these different flavors to mix. All right, going to allow this rice to absorb. All right. Okay, so now that we've got that to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and top that off. I'm going to bring it down to a simmer. All right, and we only have a couple of other ingredients remaining. Obviously, the shrimp. We're going to add the shrimp in once all the liquid is drained. You do not want the shrimp to go in. This goes in dead last. Shrimp and garnish are going to go in dead last. Okay, garnish more so for design, a little bit of flavor, more so for design. Shrimp's going to go in dead last. The okra's going to go in just as, and you guys are going to see it shortly. The okra's going to go in just as the liquid begins to drain out. So, like I said, I don't want to bore everybody with that piece, which is going to kind of get this to drain. And like I said, like I always say, I'll be back shortly. If you guys once again have any questions or any complaints or criticisms or whatever, you guys can always get at me at tasteofi55@gmail.com. Once again, that's tasteofi55@gmail.com. It's good to actually be working with everybody again. All right, hopefully I'll be hearing from you. All right, thank you once again for all the support, and we'll be back with you guys shortly. Got a new spoon. People think I'm disgusting. So it's almost there. I do got to add a little more. Once again, we just add a little more simply because we don't want it to stick to the pot. So a little more moisture down low. We're almost there. when your liquid starts to get low, that's when you can add your okra to everything. So now I'm going to add that okra in for that extra flavor. Make sure I mix that all around. Like I said, okra is an option. If all else fails, you can use gumbo filet, which I care not to use. Kind of like the flavor of okra, so, but personal preference. I'll use a little bit more of this, and I'm going to cover again. There we go. Okay, so now that we got the texture to about what we want it to be, all right, 1 second, got it around really quick, pretty much almost done. So the cooking part is not what takes the long time, what takes forever is the prep. So it definitely helps if you got an extra pair of hands in the kitchen. Right. So now at this point I can add in the shrimp. Shrimp and the garnish will be the last thing that you use. Now what I've used for garnish is shallots. Alright, so you guys can use that. And we're pretty much done. I'm going to put that in. We've got to make sure that we mix that around good. Now you know me, I like mine heavy. I like it loaded with everything, so keep in mind shrimp doesn't take a long time to cook. And if need be, like I said, you can always add in, guys can always add in a little extra liquid if necessary. Right now, I don't see the need to do so. So I'm going to let this go for about 1 more minute. And we're pretty much done. Put that underneath as much as possible. So in the meanwhile, while I'm waiting, once again, like I told you guys before, I'm trying to do this every 2 weeks, okay? So I'll catch you guys in a couple of weeks. It's Easter weekend, so we'll see what I can actually do as far as finding something that might be actually good for your Easter dinner. All right, we'll see how that goes. Okay, got to figure out what I'm gonna do next. All right. Other than that, once again, I want to thank all of my supporters. I ask that you guys continue to support, and like I always say, anybody who any questions or concerns, you guys give me email at email. Sorry about that. tasteofi55@gmail.com. So with that shrimp being pink at this point, cut the heat up a little bit so we can make sure we get everything. Last but not least, I'm going to throw in my garnish, and actually I'm going to throw in my garnish, and that'll be that. Take some of that, get some of that out actually, put some of that on top. I like for it to look a certain way. All right. So finalized product, I like to kind of stir over it a little bit because but there we go. So once again, homemade jambalaya. For the most part, the cooking part is very, very quick. All right, doesn't take all that long. It's the prep that actually takes more time, but you guys should be able to handle that. And once again, if you guys have any questions, I can go ahead and stop right there. If you guys have any questions, smooth that over just a little bit for appearance purposes. Okay, there we go. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, you guys can get at me at tasteofi55@gmail.com. All right, see you guys in a couple weeks. And once again, remind you to subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you.